The woman simply dripped the sweat from her fingers onto the heirloom jade pendant. In the next second, she was transmitted to a strange space. The water there not only had beautifying and skin-enhancing properties, it could even make ducklings grow into adult ducks in just one day, and also transfer objects from the outside into this space. After discovering this miraculous function, she wanted nothing more than to take revenge on her father, stepmother, and stepsister. It was only because she had traveled from the 21st century into the world of a novel. She not only discovered that the original protagonist was a doormat, but her father and stepmother also frequently exploited her. One day, they began coaxing the woman to go to the countryside for training in place of her stepsister. Fearing she would refuse, they even lied that their family would face a major crisis next month. Going to the countryside would allow her to avoid the disaster. The woman understood that her father and stepmother intended to deceive her, so they could transfer the inheritance left by her mother. That way, the three of them could live happily ever after. Thinking of her bracelet that could contain anything, she realized that if she waited until they left and then moved all the household goods into the space, she could take them together to some remote countryside. Then she could rise to great power and fortune. Thus, she agreed to go to the countryside in place of her stepsister, but on the condition that she receive $10,000 as countryside allowance. Her father took money from his sock and gave it to her. After receiving the money, the woman was overjoyed. To prevent her father and stepmother from continuing to exploit her, she proposed severing ties with them. Her stepmother was delighted upon hearing this. She hurriedly sent her husband to sign. After signing the severance agreement, the woman would not receive a single cent of the household wealth. Thus, both of them pressed their fingerprints on the severance document. Because the woman was going to the countryside, her job would inevitably be handed over to her stepsister. However, completing the formalities would take some time. So the manager asked the stepsister to start work at the factory 3 days later. After doing all this, next, they pretended they would go to America for a 3-day trip to transfer the inheritance. The woman naturally understood their motives and decisively agreed. After they left, the woman also decided to begin her revenge plan. First, she called the office manager. She stated that she did not intend to hand her job over to her stepsister to ensure her stepsister would have no chance. Then she sold her job to a neighbor for $1,000. Next, what she had to do was empty the entire house. 3 days later, when her father and stepmother returned, she would give them a surprise. So she used her memory of the book to open the family's treasure chamber, only to discuss how wealthy the family really was. Not only were there several boxes of gold and various jewels, there were even many precious medicinal herbs. She gently turned her bracelet and stored all these items into the space. She did not even spare the family's television. Just as she was preparing to go out and stockpile supplies into the bracelet, she discovered that a few thieves were targeting her. According to the book's records, she of course knew these people had been sent by her stepmother behind her father's back to steal the family's money. Thinking the house was already empty, she decided to frame her father and stepmother for the theft, so she deliberately delayed her return home to go to the store and buy some farm produce, while giving those thieves time to carry out the theft. Immediately afterward, she took the purchased goods back to the space. She just tapped the system a few times with her finger. The next second, all the land had been cultivated in an instant. Pits had even been dug. Then she tapped again to plant. The next second, the seed she had just planted instantly grew into edible vegetables. What shocked her even more was, even the ducklings she had bought turned into adult ducks after drinking the spring water. This made her extremely happy. Meanwhile, the thieves had already sneaked to her house. Using the key given by her stepmother, they easily unlocked the door. The moment they entered, they were completely dumbfounded. Because the house had already been emptied, they went up to the second floor, ransacking every room in search of valuables. But they still found nothing. 1 hour later, the woman emerged from the space and saw the lock had been opened. She immediately knew the thieves had taken the bait. Then she pushed open the door and began shouting, "Catch the thieves."